All right. Nate told me he's not making the meeting tonight.
Who's not making it?
Nate.
Okay,
So is he excused then?
I will give him the benefit of the doubt and consider that excused notification, yeah.
Okay.
All right, because we hadn't called the meeting to order yet. Okay, so at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, June 21st, 2022, I'm going to call to order the virtual regular monthly village board meeting for the Village of Sister Bay. Roll call, Zashki here.
Berto here.
Ox here.
Lions here.
Bronco here. Oh, Bell is here. You
Bell
liar.
here.
Is here. Count him in. Excellent. Okay.
Scott Baker is excused.
And Scott Baker is excused, correct. Okay, so for those of us who want to join in, we'll stand and on the count of three, recite the Pledge of Allegiance. One, two, three. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
and to the
to the
republic
republic
for which
for which
it
it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice.
justice for all.
Thank you for the ace work on the graphics, Heidi. I will motion that we approve the agenda as published.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I will motion that we approve the minutes as published for the village board meetings of May 17th, 2022 and June 6th, 2022. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Agenda item number 5, comments, correspondence, and concerns from the public. Do we have any comments or concerns from the public on a non-agenda item this evening?
Rob, we
Yes.
did have some comments which I was going to address later in my report.
Okay.
It basically pertained to the festival today, the showdown at the town hall, the Pride
Okay.
Fest.
All right. Well, yeah, that's fine. Thank you. And we'll look forward to hearing about that during your report. Could we have a summary of correspondence, please?
The annual report for 2021 that was received from the League of Municipalities Insurance Company was included in the packets as correspondence. There was also an email and attachments that were received from David Dahlstrom. And in his email, Mr. Dahlstrom asks that village officials consider designating Wednesday, July 13th as Bob Dahlstrom Day in Sister Bay. There was also a flyer that was received from the U.S. Census Bureau regarding the 2020 post-census group quarters review. And there was an email that was received from Samantha Coyne of the Door County SWCD. In her email, Ms. Coyne invites the members of the public to 2 strategic plan public input sessions concerning invasive species. Those presentations are going to be on June 23rd from 6 to 7 p.m. and Friday, June 24th from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m.
Thank you, Janelle. Agenda item number 6, County Supervisor Report from Dave Lenow, County Supervisor. Do we have Dave with us this evening?
I don't think so.
We do not, so that we will move along to agenda item number 7, which will be a public hearing on the proposed changes to the sanitary sewer and hauled waste rates. All Sister Bay and Liberty Grove Utility District customers will be charged as of the beginning of the 3rd quarter of service, July 1st, 2022. At 6:05 p.m., I am going to announce that we are starting the public hearing. Do we have anyone from the public that would like to comment on these published proposed changes? Hearing no comments, at 6:05 PM, I will close the public hearing. And we will address those changes further on down the line in the agenda this evening. Item number 8A, a proposal from the Door County Medical Center to install an electric vehicle charging station at the new clinic as replacement for paying the utilities service and lateral permit fees. General discussion regarding the waiver of impact fees for developments. Regarding the proposal specific to the medical center, I have a strong opinion myself on this. I'm going to defer to my fellow trustees and open the floor to them for any questions or discussion they have first. Denise?
Well, according to statutes and law and what we are bound by, we cannot waive them. So I don't know how much conversation there, I guess, needs to be.
Chad?
Yeah, I mean, it's a unique proposal, give them credit for that. But at the end of the day, if I was building a medical center right now, I'd probably put in some of those myself. I don't know how that defers any of our expenses.
I feel the same way. Do we have any other trustee commentary or questions?
I also agree. I don't think that vehicle charging is connected to utilities, not at least the sister B utilities.
Okay. Do we have a motion on the Door County Medical Center proposal?
Rob,
Yes.
just
Julie.
real quick, we do have Brian from the medical center who's on the Zoom meeting, who may want to have some comment or offer some more information other than what was, I mean, we had Tasha's memo in the packet, but Brian might have other information he wants to share with us.
Okay. You're on mute, Brian, but if you wanna, there you go.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I understand from the previous discussion, it may be a moot point, but I have a brief statement. I'll read it, and we fully respect whatever decision you make. Just a little background in addition to the written proposal that we submitted. The most common connector for electric vehicle charging is a J1772 plug. All electric cars in Canada and in the US can charge using this plug, even Tesla cars, as they come with an adapter. The J1772 connector is only available for level 1 and 2 charging, but Sister Bay currently only has one J1772 charging station, and it's at the Open Hearth Lodge. It's available to the public, but it costs $1 an hour, and it's not within reasonable walking distance of the Sister Bay retail district. So what we're proposing is to install a J1772 charging station that would actually have 2 charging stations with that kind of plug at our new clinic that would be free and available to the public, not just for our patients. Currently, Sturgeon Bay, Egg Harbor, Bailey's Harbor, Fish Creek, and even Gills Rock all have public charging stations that are free and within walking distance of shops and restaurants. Drivers of electric vehicles choose these locations because of the free charging stations. I drive a plug-in hybrid, and I will choose to go to a restaurant near a charging station because I know that the travel from my home in Sturgeon Bay and back is nearly free if I'm charging while we eat and shop. So our plans at the hospital are to install an electric vehicle charging station at our new clinic for a total cost of $17,373. This would be for 1 station with 2 parking stalls and 2 universal 1772 plug-ins. We would propose that in exchange for us providing this benefit to the village of Sister Bay, that the utility service and lateral permit fees be waived in their entirety. We respectfully ask the village board to consider this request. So that's it.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Brian. And I'm not opposed to electric vehicles at all. It's the future, it's the present, it's happening. But if we don't agree to this, right? If we don't, are you going to install them anyway?
We likely will. Yeah. I'll be completely forthright with you about that. We just
I appreciate that. It's hard for a village to pay for somebody else's transportation. I shouldn't say that. Like, I'm all for public transportation and I want to have it, but it's like nobody's paying for my gas bill to fill up at the tank. And it's a weird state we're in because we're not quite there yet. But I think paying somebody for this. I'm all for the village installing these in various places, but we need to recoup our cost for that, or at least not lose money. I think it is a selling point, but again, I don't think it's our place to do it. Just like the Open Hearth does it. It's a good business move. It's a good business move for your medical center. I don't know if that's our village role, so to speak.
And I would just like to add, Brian, I respect you making your statement and the points that you make. I think if you think back to all of the meetings leading up to your development, including the kickoff ceremony in the parking lot over there, and you noticed how many people from the village were present, we're very grateful of your development that's going in. That being said, I will say this. I'm not surprised to hear you say you have been intending to put them in anyway if the village would not pay for them. I find it hard to believe that shoppers ready to walk downtown or patients would be anywhere ahead of the line and queue for doctors and their Teslas back there. And I get the fact that we have an ordinance and a statute, okay? If we did not, I would have looked upon your letter in a completely different mode of receipt if it had been a letter that said, you know, we'd like to offer on behalf of the community to put in some charging stations in a location that the village determines best serves the community at large. You know, that to me is a whole different discussion than, you know, trying to get at least me personally to believe that charging stations in close proximity to doctors' Teslas, which, you know, was clarified that these stations would serve, would serve people shopping downtown or patients. Any other questions or comments this evening on this topic?
I'll make a motion to deny the request.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you again. Appreciate your consideration.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Brian.
Take care.
You know,
Item
Denise,
number-
they're gonna think we don't like that place.
Yeah.
No, we don't believe that. Take care.
Thanks, Brian.
Item 8B, recommendation from the utility committee that a late fee be imposed for haulers that discharge septic waste between December and March. On page 76 of the packet, we've got the staff recommendation supporting that we approve the late fee. Dan Klansky is here. Is there anything you'd like to emphasize related to this, Dan?
This is something that has been increasing. We do not accept septage late in the year, but we're an activated sludge plant and our flows are way down. It causes additional costs for us. So this will help offset the additional aeration, additional chemical that we have to add when our plant is at its minimum flow in the winter. So, and that's about all I have.
Any questions for Dan, or do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Agenda item 8C. Resolution number 490-062-12022 that appears on page 83 of the packet and establishes the various rates the Village of Sister Bay will charge for wastewater and sewer services as of July 1st, 2022. The notation on the staff's recommendation that we approve this resolution is on page 80 in the packet. Dan or Tasha, is there anything else you want to emphasize on this at this time?
Really, this, sorry, Julie looked like she wanted to say something.
Go ahead. I just real quick, I was just going to clarify that this is what applies to the public hearing. So This is a result of the public hearing. So this is basically what that was about. And just for the record, you'll see a study in your packet. Any motion you make to approve that resolution would include approving the study as well. So it's just a little housekeeping matter there. Go ahead, Tasha.
Okay. So this rate study is a couple of months of work for Dan Klansky, Kara Kroll, and myself. We have really looked at all of the costs associated with the plant. The reasons really driving this increase are not only increasing costs in chemicals and utilities and those kind of things and personnel costs, but we're also dealing with an increase in cost in replacement funds due to the wastewater treatment plant upgrade and additional debt due to the Liberty Grove lawsuit settlement. So all of those things kind of came together, resulting in the need for this rate study to be done in 2021 or 22, sorry.
The other thing I would add to Tasha's point is there was unanimous consensus at the utilities meeting that the work that Tasha and Dan and the team had done on this, including the write-up explaining the rates, et cetera, was top-notch and excellent, and we're very grateful for it. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Agenda item 8D, resolution number 486-062-12022 that appears on page 87 of the packet and revises the Village of Sister Bay Board bylaws and committee commission bylaws in such fashion that they reflect changes to the structure of the wastewater treatment plant committee and the water sewer collection storm sewer committee, in essence, moving to two committees into one format. That recommendation is on page 86 of the packet. Dan or Tasha, is there anything you would like to add in support of this?
Do you have anything, Tasha? It's really just combining the two into one.
Yeah. This is something that's been talked about at the utilities level for some time, and agreement has been reached on. Chad?
Can we combine more committees and get less of them?
Yeah, we could combine ad hoc land acquisition and outdoor recreation and transportation, but you
Whenever
thought
they
that
call
was the worst idea since sliced bread, so.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
I thought sliced bread was a good idea, but maybe that's just me.
I thought combining those two was a good idea. Agenda item 8E, resolution number 487-062-12022 that appears on page 109 of the packet that approves the 2021 electric compliance maintenance annual report, ECMAR, as presented, which was approved by the Utilities Committee for forwarding to the board. The yes recommendation from Dan and his team is on page 108. Do we have any questions for Dan or Tasha related to this one?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 8F, ordinance number 298-062-122 that amends the definition of utility committee as it appears in chapter 62 of the municipal code. Staff's yes recommendation to approve this ordinance is on page 137 of the packet. Any discussion? I will move that we approve ordinance number 298-062-122 as noted.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Agenda item 8G, renewal of the orchard agreement that was entered into between the Village of Sister Bay and Seaquest Orchards LLC for a term of 1 year. Page 141 of the packet details the agreement. This is related to the cherry harvesting on the Wiltsey property. Do we have any discussion or a motion here? Chad?
Yeah, I didn't actually see the dates. It just, they're blank and on mine. So when does it start? When does it end? Just for reference.
This actually expired in April, so
Oh.
it should be effective ASAP.
So April to April is when this runs.
If that's the term you would like, yeah.
I think, I mean, I don't have obviously we want to protect our ability to do stuff there in the future. So, but we should also talk to them about the harvest and what makes sense for them. And obviously, we can't do anything there tomorrow, but we're going to be doing something soon. So
Well,
I think we should
cherries are usually done by end of July.
do you think we can make this lease just to end in, September? But they spray, they have other maintenance, of course. Should we just extend it through the fall and then address it when we understand, get some input from Seaquest to understand what works best for them? Obviously, if that doesn't mesh with our village needs, we're going to come first. But I don't know if I understand I feel confident if we knew it till next April, we're good. But I think maybe next April, we should address it a little more detail.
Julie, do we have any legal issues with backdating approval to April of this year to April of next?
No, you can backdate it. That's not an issue on an agreement.
My opinion would be we backdate it from April to next April so that if there was any strange, bizarre occurrence, we wouldn't be in a position to say the fact that we were having them operate without a contract was an issue.
Go ahead, Denise.
I would like to speak on behalf of Pat Duffy.
Whoa,
Or channel him, I guess I should say. I remember when this came up last year, and because something had to be done with the orchard quickly after the village bought it. You can't let an orchard sit idle and have no one take care of it for a year. And we agreed that there would be no fee. And I remember Pat Duffy talking at the time, okay, I understand, but we should address this next year if we renew it. And so I'm questioning, the village doesn't lease out anything else free. We have people in Waterfront Park that have contracts with the village. We have commercial entities that have contracts with the marina. We have Jonathan Orrick, who has a contract with the village on the property out in Liberty Grove that the utilities plant owns. So why is this different, and why is there not a fee associated with it?
Point.
I don't know. My question would be, when this came up, was it a matter of, or questioned as to if they were charged a fee, or now if we were to say, we'll present them a contract, but now we're going to charge them, what would be the outcome if they just balked and said, well, we're not paying, you go ahead and deal with it? Is the village maintenance and park staff in a knowledge / manpower standpoint able to jump in as effectively as cherry growers would on that property so that?
No, they're not, Rob. But why don't we figure out what we were paying? They were paying the previous property owner, and that should be fair, right?
Can I just throw a logistical thing out there?
Please.
So if you're going to start I do think he should be charged, but I think if you're going to start charging him at this point, there's the question, does he now pay back to April? And would he have went through this growing season if he had known there was a fee? So it might be one of those things where we just have to acknowledge we messed up by not renewing it, and let him know that if this goes into next year, come April, there's likely going to be a fee charged.
Yeah, I think it's a go forward plan for sure. I don't think we should ask for them to pay on the
That
agreement.
sounds like a great idea, that we just say this would be the last free contract, that if, they intend to
Yep.
You know, and then Julie, my question for you on that would be, when we notify Seaquest in that manner, should we stipulate somehow in the contract, we'd have them being signed, that we expect a decision on the following year, you know, in 90 days prior to the start date or whatever, you know, to give us a chance to look elsewhere if they say we don't want to do it anymore?
Yeah, I think we can address that in a cover letter that accompanies the contract.
Excellent, thank you. Denise?
I understand Julie's point, but to renew a contract for a second year with no fee, we could have had many other people come to the plate if it was advertised that would have wanted to do it for free also.
Yeah, I don't disagree, Denise, and maybe we just make Seaquest be here for our next meeting and in turn find out what they were paying for it.
Because do you know that for a fact that they leased it from Curtis in the past, Chad?
They had to have, right? I don't know that, but I would like to know one way or the other, right? That's the information. It's hard to make a decision until you have all that information. I would like to have all that information.
And it sounds like,
Brian-
Chad, at the July meeting, they would essentially, if not be finished with the harvest, close to being finished. So that might be a timely meeting to just say, hey, what's the deal? Because if we move forward.
I mean, they're good community members.
Yeah.
You know, like we just we need to have a discussion what's fair and do the right thing, right? Obviously, we got to look out for the village. They should be here. I know Fuzzy reached out to me. Jim was traveling, didn't know it was going to be on the agenda. I don't know if they were notified about it. It's one of the things they should have been notified and had a representative here for us to discuss this. So I would rather us just push it off a month and have them be here to discuss it, and they'll know the history and they're not going to lie to us. You know, they're going to tell us what it was or how it went down. And maybe they did us a favor by doing this so the trees wouldn't rot, right? I don't know the story, but there's a story there and we should get that information and let them come talk.
Denise?
All right, I think Curtis had told me once that because he took such good care of those trees, that it was the highest producing trees in the county. So I think a phone call maybe could be made to Curtis for some background information
Get
also.
him here too. Get him here next meeting too. It'd be great for us all to understand it and then make a really good decision. I agree.
So we table this for July and with invitations offered to those as noted. Does that sound good, Julie?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Anyone else with any thoughts or comments on this? Nate?
Yeah. So what exactly happens to an orchard that we're going to it's not going to be an orchard any longer if we don't maintain it for a year? I can understand that it's nice to have it maintained, but at the same point, they're not doing us a favor, we're doing them a favor. And I just want to get that out there because this thing isn't going to suddenly attack the village if an orchard is not maintained for a year.
Are you sure?
Well, what I know from Neil Teskey regarding his orchard that he used to upkeep was his basically disappeared for a number of years when the first post harvest came, that he was not treating those trees to protect them through the winter. So the first thing that we would have to do in taking that upon ourselves after harvest would be to have somebody treat those trees properly so that they were protected. Otherwise, the freeze without them being treated would cause them to not produce anymore.
Why don't we just bring in some experts and hear about it and we'll talk about it next month.
Okay, all right, so it's tabled until next month. Thanks, Julie. Discussion item 8H. Recommendation to proceed with the concept plan for land the village has acquired, the Wiltsey property. And this is as noted during the Parks Committee meeting earlier this evening. What Parks has recommended is that committees move forward with staff to work with Bay Lakes Regional Planning on refining how all the Wiltsey property formal rendering should look, what it should include, and to start that ball rolling at the initiative of Bay Lakes Regional Planning beginning their work. Correct, Julie?
That's correct.
Okay.
Right, so we would start with a kickoff meeting, a Monday in July, Monday at 6 in July, between the parks planning and that ad hoc group that was put together, all with Bay Lake, start the process rolling. It should go relatively quick because we only have 20 hours, but we do need the board's formal approval, proceed with using those credits in this manner.
And certainly any other board members would be welcome as citizens to attend,
Yes.
if you're so interested, et cetera.
Yeah, it'd be encouraged. The more voices, the better.
All right. I will motion that we accept the recommendation of the Parks Committee and proceed with the concept plan for the Wiltsey property, as noted.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 8J, recommendation from the Plan Commission and the Green Tier Legacy Community Committee that the village board authorize the creation of a revised raising and demolition permit application that contains all the information that is delineated in 14.15B 1-9 of the municipal code, as well as historical relevance data and the potential for salvageable material reuse and building donation. This is highlighted on page 161 to 165 of the packet. Julie, I'm going
Sure.
to turn this one over to you.
Okay, so this was an assignment that was given to Diane when she was here, was to basically research this and come up with some recommendations. One of the things the board had wanted was basically to review the approve the application, which boards don't do because you set policy, right? You don't regulate applications. Because if we have to change something, we have to always go back to the board. But I think what the intent really was to kind of just share the background information with the board, which you have in front of you, and then kind of go through the type of things that would be on that application to see if maybe there was something else somebody wanted on there. So I have, Diane's draft of what would be on there. And, it asks for a lot of the normal stuff, the owner's name, etc. But it has what the application would ask in particular is, are there hazardous materials present? What are those? From there, we can, share that with emergency management to see if there's something that would be of concern to them with that home or with that demolition project. It talks about the hazardous material removal, transportation, and disposal. So what is there and how are they going to get rid of it? They have to give us details on it. How is it going to be removed? How is it going to be transported? We do know from experience, there's certain things, you can't just put your asbestos, in your garbage can and things of that nature. So it's kind of a red flag for us to see, is there something else we need to look at here to make sure that this is going to be dealt with properly? Then it talks about material reuse and recycling, and it basically offers some recommendations to the applicant of ways that they can reuse or recycle their materials. We can't, require them to recycle it. So the best way to do it on an application is to say, these are the village's basically goals or what they want to see happen with these, and hope that they do recycle and reuse it. We also talk in here, in the application, we want to know about water runoff and soil erosion prevention measures. A lot of times, and we saw this with a recent project, when you go and you excavate, when you take down a house, you dig out that foundation or fill it in, there's a lot of soil movement on that site. So we have to look at those type of things, what's going to happen, because you don't know when it's going to get developed again. So we don't want to have bare sites sitting out there. We don't want to have runoff. We don't want to have, erosion into the sewer system with the sedimentation and stuff. It talks about the tree cutting to make sure they are aware of the bluff protection overlay district, the shoreline rules, or anything else that would be of concern to us. And it does require them to have certain utility sign-offs. So before we would issue a permit, they would need to make sure that they have the approval or sign off from regarding the water meter and the service. The water and sewer lines are capped at the property. The electric meters and service are removed. The gas meter and service are removed. And then any other utilities such as cable or like a landline. They do have to acknowledge that it's going to be cleared of debris, that it's going to be rubbish is going to be gone, pavement will be leveled, the site's going to be graded, revegetated. And then, you know, the one thing that's not on here is a timeline. So that's something that I think we would want to make sure is in here to make sure that it does get revegetated and everything, but they have to sign it and their contractor has to sign it before we would ever give them a permit to proceed with the actual demolition. So we're going from, you know, minimal regulation on this to a pretty thorough job, which I think is amazing. I think we should have had it all along. I mean, it's crazy to think in this day and age we'd let people tear stuff down without even questioning how they're dealing with the materials or what they're doing with the site. The one thing about these notes that you'll see is that, you know, the current codes do talk about the need for, or it talks about the historic preservation, I think it's committee, having to review some of these sites. That's something I think we should maybe take a closer look at because we only have one site that's on the national or state register. So it might, I think we should probably reword that a little bit because I don't think the intent was to say we're only going to look at one property. I think the intent of the code, that the information you have in front of you, was to say there's certain things that we as a community view as significant. And I think those are the ones that we're really trying to get to and say, hey, some of these significant sites, whether they're culturally significant, it's stuff we want to look at. So I do want to do more work on that whole historic preservation side of it right now. But as far as moving this forward, I feel we have a really good grasp on an application and we should just proceed with it and make people start getting the permit. We had another one come in this week. And so they're, you know, applying under the old rules, so we can't apply a lot of this. We will try to encourage them to, you know, follow along with it, but it's something I think that's definitely needed and something I think we just have to move forward with.
Any questions? Any questions for Julie? I will motion that we authorize.
Sorry, Rob.
Oh, sorry, Denise, didn't see it. Go ahead.
I have a question. Where in the village is another tear down being requested?
It came in, Janelle, do you know what road that was on?
It's Julie Schaefer, one of the houses by Beacon.
Is it her, she's tearing down the Beacon property or she tearing down the old Bunda house?
I think it's the old Bunda house, but I'm not positive.
It's the old Bunda house she's gonna tear down and rebuild is what I think I know, but that's just a thought.
It just came in, so I haven't even looked at it really. So I just know that we had one come in. So like you said, we'll try and get her to do it, you know, in good faith with what our intentions are, even if it's not on an application. So.
Yep, my understanding, she tried and tried and tried to repair that house and it's just beyond water issues, etc., poor construction, that I don't think their intention was ever to tear it down and rebuild, but it's come to that, I think.
That's the impression I got.
Yeah. And at some point, what do you do, right? Can't preserve crap.
I will motion that we accept the recommendation from the Plan Commission and the Green Tier Legacy Community Committee to authorize the creation of the revised permit application as noted, with Julie taking the lead on the final tweaks.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Moving along to agenda item 8J, the annual license renewal requests, including liquor, beer, wine, tobacco, and operators licenses. I'm going to, in a moment, turn this over to Heidi, for Heidi to run us through this, including at each license. Heidi, if you'll just refresh everyone's memory as to who needs to recuse themselves before which vote.
Sure.
And then also I would, of course, remind my fellow trustees, if you have any questions or comments related to any of the licenses that come up, please, raise your hand and you'll be recognized. I would just say, as a matter of note, in particular for Heidi, for your reference, when we do get to the Pebble Beach bar license reflected on page 203 of the packet, I, for one, am going to want us to take a special look at that page in the packet for discussion purposes.
So every year these licenses come before you, and I always struggle with the format of how to put that together because it's a lot of licenses. Hopefully this makes sense to you. Starting on page 169 of the packet, I have grouped the applications by license type. So the first group is the Class A licenses for the sale of intoxicating liquors and beers. Some of those businesses there in that group also have tobacco license requests. This would be the group that Denise would recuse herself from because she has ties with one of the businesses on that list. So we're looking for a motion to approve the group for Class A licenses as indicated in the packet.
Moved.
second,
All in favor, say aye.
I,
The
Opposed?
the second group is the combination Class B licenses for the sale of intoxicating liquors and beer. This is the one that Pebble Beach is included as part of. Chad would need to recuse himself from this group because he's associated with a business here, and Mary as well because she is associated with a business here. The letter that Rob referenced from Pebble Beach is on page 203 of the packet, explaining why they were unable to meet the code requirement of being open for 150 days in the business year, and are asking you to consider the circumstances they've outlined in their letter when you discuss their application.
Rob,
Yes,
just a note
Julie.
before we go any further. So we actually have to have the member say they're going to recuse themselves. We can't force them. So
Right.
I know that first one we said, this is the one Denise is going to have to recuse herself from. She
Right.
actually has to recuse herself. We can't
Okay.
tell her she's recusing
Should
herself.
we go back and handle that?
I think you should. I mean, it's being
Okay.
recorded. We want to do everything
Okay.
legally.
So we
So-
need to rescind the vote on Group A and return to another vote, allowing Denise the opportunity to vocally recuse herself
I
first.
will recuse myself.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then, now that Denise has declared that, we can vote on Group A. I will motion that we approve Group A as noted in the packet.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
for Group B, I'll recuse myself.
I'll recuse myself.
Denise?
So pertaining to page 203 and Bridget Crane's couple sentences on why they did not open. Some of our new board members, I don't think maybe were at the meeting when, I don't remember how many months ago it was that the Cranes wanted to give their license to Lars Johnson. And the board had a long discussion about that. And a lot of times that will happen when a business changes hands. I think we just did it for Pasta Vino a month or two ago. The new owners were there. They immediately applied for it. It was still going to operate as the same kind of business. When the Cranes tried to do that with the Johnson family for a particular parcel within the village, he did not currently have an operating business that the village felt that it could go to. If anybody has driven down Pebble Beach Road recently, the Cranes do not have a current business. They have torn down all of the buildings. So I do not understand how we could allow them to apply for a license again when there is no bar, there is no restaurant, there is no structure, there is no commercial entity there at all. The Plan Commission quite a few months ago gave them approval for their condominium project and their home for themselves on the waterfront. Nowhere in that plan that the Plan Commission approved did they say that they were going to keep the bar and restaurant as part of the plan moving forward. So I find it quite odd that they are applying for this license with no structure, no business.
And regarding your point, Denise, I would say that I'm troubled by the fact that this message from Bridget Crane essentially insinuates that the bar exists as a structure when she says, you know, they're asking for the exemption due to a number of factors which prevented us from opening our outside bar, formerly Fred and Fuzzy's. That to me sounds like there's a structure there. It doesn't say anything about a number of factors which prevented them from deciding to move forward with constructing an outside bar or pursuing that. So yeah, that's my comment. So Heidi, do we, based on the discussion we've had so far on this particular license, do we can proceed with addressing just this one out of the group first? Or Julie, is that possible? Or do we have to?
Sure, you can make a motion just to discuss that one, pull it out separately, discuss it, and then do the remainder as a group.
Okay, so I'm going to motion that we formally address the topic of granting a license to the Cranes at 10620 Little Sister Road as a separate item.
Then I will make a motion to approve everybody on the second list except Pebble Beach Resort LLC.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Chad?
Julie, do I have to stay recused from the discussion about the Pebble Beach property since I'm no longer included in the group of Pebble Beach properties?
So if you're not, yeah, so you would have only recused yourself from the one that you're involved in.
Yep.
So if now we're discussing Pebble Beach separately, you can participate in that conversation.
Perfect, thank you.
You're not in the Pebble Beach one, Chad?
I have nothing to do with it.
Okay,
I have
then
nothing
you're
to do.
fine. Right, so then you're free to discuss it
Thank you.
and act on it.
Okay, appreciate it.
Did you have comments, Chad?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you've said. There's intent to run a business. If you're interested in running a bar or restaurant, there's a lot of steps involved to be interested in running that are beyond just saying I'm not going to open up for these certain circumstances. So there's no intent, no earnest, truthful intent that they have any plans to open up a place. It's unfortunate they just didn't be a good neighbor and relinquish it to the village, and the village could go through the process and find it out a good home for that liquor license. But Teach their own.
So then handling Pebble Beach Resorts LLC license request as a separate item, I will motion that we deny Pebble Beach Resorts LLC the license.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Heidi, the next group, please.
The next group is our Class B beer only licensees, Ecology Sports and Little Vegas. Little Vegas is also requesting a tobacco license. None of the board members have any association with either of these businesses, so you're free to vote as you wish.
So moved to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The
Opposed?
final,
Motion
sorry.
carried.
The final group for liquor licenses are the Class B beer and Class C wine combination licenses. There's association here by Rob with one of these businesses, so we would ask him to recuse himself.
And I will recuse myself from this group.
I don't know
will-
if anyone, oh, go ahead.
I will make a motion to approve the list as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The final request as part of this agenda item are the operator applications on the next page. We have 1 or 2 year requests offered to individuals. We have a handful of folks who want to get just a 1 year license, and then a large group of people who are seeking a 2 year license to be approved at this meeting. Just for your information, at the end of that board report is a list of all of the current licensed operators who got a 2 year license last year, so they're good yet until 2023. And so you can see which businesses have, how many people involved serving their alcohol. And I do anticipate that I'm going to get several more applications yet in the next month, because I do have the authority granted by the board to approve operators just through the office, but these are all of the ones that have come in time for the meeting.
Well, I believe that I should recuse myself.
Me as well.
So that still leaves us with a quorum of individuals to approve.
Motion that we approve this group as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Is that it,
That's all I
Heidi?
have.
Okay, thank you very much. Stay
Thanks, Heidi.
stay tuned, Heidi, as we move to agenda item 8K. Approval of the changes to sections 4, 5, and 11 of Village of Sister Bay Marina Fest bylaws pertaining to commercial vendors, arts and crafts, farmers market vendors, and distributions from the Marina Fest Special Revenue Fund to participating nonprofit organizations. Heidi, take it away.
So I'll try to be brief. The Marina Fest Committee has been talking for quite some time about getting some rules into their bylaws concerning how they're going to disperse the funds that they raise through the festival weekend. So you'll notice in the board report that most of those excerpts from the committee meetings address that topic. But recently, the committee has discussed the way that commercial food vendors are participating in the weekend. They had asked for 15% of gross profits to be donated back to the committees as, I guess, their fee for participating in the weekend. But there was concern by several committee members that some of those commercial vendors were not being as forthright as they should be with the amount of their contribution. And they came up with a way of changing the bylaws to charge a flat fee based on where a vendor is located on the festival grounds, with that area by the pavilion being the most desirable space. So in the bylaws that you have in the packet, starting on page 250, you'll see all of the changes made in red of the committee's recommendations. I don't know if anyone has any questions on those.
I like the flat fee. It's time, it's a good idea. It's good to do.
There were some concerns brought up about what happens if it rains and we're asking someone to pay a large chunk of money, but that's just a risk, I guess, that they have to be willing to take.
Yeah, I agree.
What drove this was, trying to get the committee members, particularly the long-term committee members, to start making progress on the village's stated initiative that they figure out how to get this towards a self-sustaining festival.
And as part of their request, they're asking to not delineate what those fees are in this bylaws document because they might want to change them down the road. So if it's okay, those fees would be set forth in the annual schedule of fees for the village.
Okay.
I
Denise?
understand, but I don't understand. The village changes, we just changed a whole bunch of fees in the last few months. I don't know why it couldn't be in the bylaws, and if the fees change, they're just changed in the bylaws. I don't understand.
I guess the objective was to not have to come back to the board every time they wanted to change the fees, just by putting it in the bylaws that the fees are subject to change as delineated on the fee schedule for the village.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
I understand, yeah.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Agenda item 8L, recommendation from the Finance Committee that the 2021 annual financial statements for the Village of Sister Bay be formally accepted. Tasha, anything you would like to add to the recommendation on page 254 in the packet?
I don't have anything to add to the recommendation. If anyone has any questions, please let me know. I did include additional information in my board report so that you have a little more color than you usually do about the financials. As always, I'm available to talk them over. And if anybody would like a hard copy, please let me know. Otherwise, you will be getting an electronic copy shortly.
Thanks, Tasha.
I listen, Nate, I swear.
Tasha, did you print one out for Denise though? You might need it.
They give me some as part of the fees, so.
I will motion that we formally accept the 2021 annual financial statements for the Village of Sister Bay.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Agenda item 8M, proposed 18-month contract with ERC counselors and consultants, the village's employee assistant program provider, to continue services. Recommendation that we accept this contract from staff is on page 363 in the packet. Do we have any questions for Tasha on this? Hearing none, I will motion that we accept the proposed 18-month contract with ERC counselors and consultants as noted.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Do you authorize me to make to sign that contract?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Now, Julie, do we need to specify that more clearly with a formal motion, or is the consensus that it's understood Tasha's signing that, is that sufficient?
I think if the intent was that it be part of that original motion, I think we're fine, as long as everybody understands that was the intent of it.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Next time, we'll just include it in the motion.
Okay. Item 8N, a review of the financial statements and consider a motion to approve the monthly bills as noted, starting on page 372 of the packet. Any questions for Tasha here? Denise?
Hang on, I got a quick plug in. my computer before it dies.
I thought you were gonna say your magnifying glass to really take a hard look at those numbers.
Yeah. So I know it's not really pertaining to the bills, but it on page 377 and True Green Chem Lawn. And I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, and the village authorized some signs to be, larger signs to be made up when there was pesticide application. I saw the small signs the other day, earlier this week, last week, I can't remember, all my days run together. And I have yet to see a sign be put up in Marina Park, one of the ones that we had made. And so just, I don't need an answer right now, but I didn't want to forget that. On page 378, almost at the end of that page, NCL of Wisconsin, glassware washer, $9,200. Is that like a really fancy dishwasher?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Specialty dishwasher, and I believe that was under the grant.
Okay. And page 379, Wisconsin DNR, environmental fees, $1,500
Yep, that's a standard fee that is paid every year
for
the treatment plant.
the treatment plant. Okay. All right. Those were my only questions. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thanks, Sasha.
All right.
I'll motion that we approve the monthly bills as noted.
Yep, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 9, there are no president's recommended committee and commission citizen appointments this evening. I anticipate there being at least one next month. Item number 10, report by staff members on village activities and projects.
You want
Staff,
me to start?
hold on a second, Denise.
Well, I see we have a utilities and an administrator's report. I was wondering where the parks report was.
Oh, Dan's still here.
Yeah, was submitted with the parks.
And I believe that because you were still in charge of both together, you did it as one report. I mean, it's in there, right? I mean, because
Yes.
I see there's something in here about the pit toilet and summer mode. Oh, wait, that's
No,
wastewater.
that's not it.
Okay, so
Dan,
Dan,
is there something you can highlight from your recall as to what we should start by considering the parks report?
Hold on, it should.
Yeah, I'm only seeing the wastewater one in here, Dan.
Okay, one second.
Shoot from the hip, Dan. You just told me some really great news about parks the last time we talked on the phone.
Yes, parks, everything has been going pretty well here. Hold on. We are working, just getting everything.
Dan, would you like me to email you the one from the parks, the last parks?
Got it
meeting?
right here. I was just bringing it
Okay.
up so I can read it. Marina, Crane Engineering has completed the setup and operation of the new peristaltic pump. The lawn sprinkling system has been turned on. We completed adding all the sand and everything around the ball fields, getting the ball fields ready. Grounds maintenance is going good. Beach grooming, everything has been cleaned out. Woodcrest, as you all know, is completed except for the shouldering and the striping. I had a call today. Door County quit doing the striping. So Kiwani, I'm gonna meet the gentleman hopefully next week and we will get Woodcrest striped. We filled numerous potholes and are just continuing working on roads, trees, parks. Everything has been going pretty well. We just installed a drinking fountain the other day at the Village Hall. It's working great. That's about all I have.
And I have a road question for you.
Yes.
So there's a couple places that there's significant sand buildup on the road, and I'll tell you where after you tell me what the policy is. It can be challenging on there. Is that typical? I mean, I don't see that a lot of places, but there's some places where it's pretty bad and it's a little bit of a challenge. Is that just something that happens on roads, or is that something that can be dealt with, or?
We have had a couple significant storms where actually I have a section on Maple where we're going to re-shoulder. We just had so much washing out with large volumes that we're going to put a little bit larger stone down on some of the shoulders, and hopefully that will stop some of it. But we have had a few pretty good storms going through that. And if there is an area that you see and make us aware of in Sister Bay, we can hit it with the broom too.
Yeah. Where do you see it, Nate?
Birchwood.
Yeah, I know my driveway, right? It comes on the bluff. Sister Bay is full of beach stone and sand. I probably have a wheelbarrow full of sand every year in my driveway so it's all about where the rain and runoff is taking the sand that's coming to the surface. So it's kind of one of those things.
And that's something you'll see less of whenever we get your road done, Chad.
It is what it is. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that a lot of it has to do with just where the rain runoff is coming.
Absolutely.
I would say that I would not rule out that a lot of it in Birchwood in particular, or other streets like Birchwood, relates to the after effect of multiple new home constructions, including excavation on a small street. You know, I think there's a correlation to the fact that Nate is noticing that. I've noticed it. And, you know, there's 3 homes that went in new in that area, and others that have had major work done since, that finished up in the off season into spring. So, and then some of that, Nate, is on that house that's up on Pheasant, where they did all that additional digging, and then they brought that sand in there for the way they customized that driveway and garage after the prefab home got put down. And when it rained, in spring thaw and melt, all that stuff slushed down. So
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with Chad, but I'm saying I think there's more to it when you've got somebody noting that in an area where there's been all kinds of construction like that.
I think also some of it has to do with, it's not just how much rain, but how quick it falls, because an inch of rain isn't an inch of rain. It depends on how quickly it comes down. And I did see the erosion uphill from that, and I'm sure that some of it, I think you're right too, Rob, that some of that's coming down Raven there. That's what connects
Yeah.
Birchwood and Pheasant.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But I was just, if there's something the village does do about it, I don't want any special treatment for that, but it is something I'm seeing.
I will take a look at it. There are a few areas that I had calls that, like I said, the rapid rainfall, and there's areas that we just have a drop. You shoulder a road, you have gravel on your shoulder, it should almost be flush with the road. And there's just a lot of places in town. Over years, it's washed away, so it's no longer protecting or filtering that flow. A shoulder is to divert a sudden rainfall from washing everything out. It's there for a reason. So I've already ordered a couple truckloads of gravel, and we've installed some, and we just got to keep going on it. That'll be a couple year project till everything in town has been re-shouldered.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. And Dan, they're done some great work at Pebble Beach too. If you haven't had a chance to go take a look at it, swing down and see what they cleaned up for the parking and the structure, etc. Thank you.
Okay. Anything further on your other departments, Dan, or do we have any other staff with any report updates in addition to what's in the packet, or questions for other staff from trustees?
Rob, I think the one thing I just want to point out with mine, because I had told the people I would let the trustees know, is that we did receive the whole office has received some complaints about the Pride event, in particular about the drag show. The ones that I've talked to, I did have to explain to them that we cannot discriminate, based on color, religion, sexual preference, etc. That our role was basically to lease the premises for them. And as long as they weren't violating our ordinances, there was nothing we could do about it. But there was some people that were not happy with us for leasing the facility. And I did tell them that I would pass that on to the board, but I did handle it. I did respond to the request. So we don't need to do anything further, but just, I guess, might be worth a short conversation.
Chad?
Yeah, I think that conversation is enough. We shouldn't give it any more oxygen. Great
I
event.
agree.
And I will just, to Julie's point, I will clarify, I received several calls myself, and then informed SBAA how I handled those calls, and Louise agreed that the manner I handled it was accurate. And I told the callers that we view all events at the Village Hall in the same manner, and that not every event is anything that's necessarily rated G. For instance, we have a history of a short film festival in the village where some of those movies are PG, some of them are R. We entrust our visitors and residents as parents to determine whether they want to bring their families to those events, and every event that we have is the same.
Well said,
Can I
Rob.
say something?
Yes, please, Mary.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I was really proud that we were receiving those emails, but there was no engagement with these, folks who were disapproving of the event. And I am proud to be a part of an organization that, is accepting and, understanding of this sort of event. So thank you.
I appreciate you making those
Not
comments,
saying
Mary.
very often, but
No.
I'm still learning everything, and
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Mary, and I know we all do. And I would just say to you that, I've always been very forthright with the media and everyone else in underscoring that, we welcome all, and the stickers that people see on windows when they come to town is not a marketing slogan. It's a way of life here and a part of the fabric of our community. And we're glad to have you as part of our board with us on that.
I love that. Thank you.
Anything else from staff members this evening? We're going to move along to committee reports. I don't play the trumpet. I never have. If I did, I would be saluting item number 1, administrative, because I am so thrilled to formally declare that now that we have a full-time village administrator, I no longer have to uphold the bylaws by assuming some administrative functions. And I'm thrilled that Julia is taking all that over. Item number 2, communication technology.
Has not met. I talked to Dan a little bit this week about some issues that are coming up. I need to talk to Julie, and then we need to meet. There's a couple issues, and I know Julie's got some stuff that she wanted to talk about as well. So I don't know if do you have any availability this Friday to do a Zoom meeting?
I could do a Zoom meeting from home if I have reception. I actually do 410s right now, so I'm not in the office on a Friday, but I could try and do it from, home if. It's always a gamble because, as you know, Nate, I don't have reception at home. So
Over LaSalle Road is rough.
it's rough.
I guess I could also, I just want to get it scheduled now because I don't want this to slip anymore. Maybe the 29th in the morning.
Sure. Why don't you and I just email back and forth about that? And we can set up a time.
Got it.
Thanks, Nate. Coastal byways.
Oh, no report. We didn't
Thank
meet.
you. DC, EDC. Anything there, Mary?
No, so I spoke with Michelle because they met yesterday in Sturgeon Bay at 2:30, and that conflicted with my other work schedule. So she and I are gonna try to figure out a way to meet later in the afternoon virtually.
Thank you. Emergency Management Plan,
Has not met.
Finance,
Has not met that I'm aware of.
okay.
Finance. Sorry, finance met. I don't know if your minutes are in the packet. It may not be ready yet, but it was the annual report, which you received tonight, so.
Yeah, it was approved by Finance.
And real quick, I reading through that, I thought there was a lot more of the information on it that maybe it's coming up later, but it's really great to see how well this village, after making some investments with a lot of debt, which were good investments in my opinion, is turned it around and is going in the right direction. And kudos to you, Tasha, for leading people like us who want to do good things but still need reins and making it happen and working so hard and doing so great at it. It's pretty awesome, the stuff we get to do. And without somebody like you that knows what they're doing, we would be not where we're at. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fire Board met. I was not able to attend. Scott did. Notes in the packet. Green Tier Legacy Community met today. It was the first of at least 2 work sessions we'll have on what will become Green Tier recommendations to the zoning administrator and the board on revisions to the tree ordinances. 2 key notes I would make the board aware of from today. Number 1, Dan Klansky brings a wealth of experience and knowledge to this subject, which is much appreciated by the committee when he participates, which is just wonderful. The other thing that continues to amaze me as the chair of the committee is the knowledge and the experience of the various committee members due to their lifelong involvement in green causes, which continues to enlighten us all. A great example of that is as we learned today from one of our members who's very much involved in tree situations for decades that part of the involving and intensifying allergy suffering is known in part to be due to communities where male trees perpetually trigger pollen disbursements due to a lack of balance of nature female trees. And the reason for that is over time, nurseries as well as certain municipalities have, nurseries have stopped carrying a lot of female trees, and municipalities have banned female trees in essence due to an aversion to the cleanup of the blossom debris from the female trees. So what we're focusing on in our developing our recommendation is that the village consider when new plantings are involved, only trees that are the type of trees that are, in essence are both male and female and self-blossom to benefit the community better overall. And again, this is an example of Dan Klansky has expert knowledge on this as well that he shared. So we're looking forward to continuing to work in that regard.
That's
Historical.
fascinating. And once again, women take the brunt of the fall.
Yeah. Oh, it was. Yeah,
Whenever it's out of balance, Denise, is there's not enough women involved.
Yeah.
We can all agree.
Yeah. Historical Society, Scott is not with us. Ad hoc land acquisition. We covered that tonight pretty much, right, Chad?
Yep, all good.
Library Commission, anything further, Mary, on Library Commission?
So I couldn't make it to the meeting. I missed the email, unfortunately. I did get Christina's librarian report, and we're up 2,300 visitors to the library. So that's cool. And that's all that I got in the
minutes.
you.
We had received an email from Vivian Nino, and she wanted to point out that in the library report that was given the last time, there was a little confusion in the minutes. She said that on page 10 of the packet, it states that the commission wants an open sign on the street. It's her understanding that that's not the case. They want a lighted open sign in the window next to the doors. Is that right, Mary?
Oh, I thought they wanted it on the street, like on the corner of 42 and Mill.
Okay.
That was my
It-
understanding. If
Okay,
it's different, then, we can change that. I can clarify with them if you'd like.
sure, if you wouldn't mind doing that.
Just out of curiosity, is the library commission at a point where Vivian Nino has stayed on as a citizen member now?
I don't know.
Okay, I guess my curiosity would be, is she present at these meetings as a citizen member now that she's no longer a trustee member of the commission, or is this?
Oh,
if
no, she left like the first,
Right.
committee meeting that I attended. That was like her final meeting.
Right.
And
So
it
I
was
would, yeah,
mostly like Sheila and, or Shelley and Marjorie that I was dealing with.
Denise?
For clarification, they want a lighted open sign to be in a window or a door somewhere. Marge Grutzmacher had talked to me about that 6 weeks, 2 months ago or something. So it is not a freestanding sign out on the property. It would be a lighted open sign.
Okay, I'll change the minutes then. And then the other thing Vivian points out is that the term that we're supposed to use for the shade provision that they want is a shade sail, not a shade tent. It's not a tent, it's actually like a sail that hangs from the roof of the building.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
It's not a big deal.
Thank you. Marina Committee, Scott is not here. Chad, is there anything from Marina Committee?
No, I mean, just a little discussion on the pump out system that the marina has installed. It's quite remarkable. The marina is benefiting very much so from having a guy like Dave manage it. So things are going really well there. Nothing, the docks went in, the work was done. It was a little slower than planned because of numerous delays due to weather, but it's all good.
Okay, thank you. Marina Fest, Scott is not here. I was not able to make the last meeting, but to my understanding, Heidi in our prior agenda item covered the main focal point of Marina Fest. Heidi, is there anything you'd like to add as somebody who was there?
Well, just for information, the donation request letter went out last week and I've gotten 2 back already. All of the vendor applications have gone out for folks to sign up to be in our arts and crafts farmers market, and I've gotten 5 back already. So people are really excited about Marina Fest, and I think we're going to have a great turnout.
Thank you, Heidi. Ad hoc outdoor rec and transportation, Nate?
I don't have any good reason why we haven't met, but we haven't met yet. I've got a couple dates that I sent over to Heidi and that I didn't follow up with her. I've got a couple more dates I'll send over to her now.
Okay, thank you. Parks, Properties and Streets met earlier this evening. We dealt with the recommendations on the board agenda tonight. Tourism Zone, I was not able to attend. Julie, were you able by any chance to jump in on that one? And is there anything you'd like to mention? If indeed you were.
Yeah, we went through the annual report. Tourism was up last year, of course. They talked about how a state law has changed how the intermediaries can collect the taxes and report them, which would be like your Airbnb and your VRBO. And what it's going to do is cause a delay in getting the funds from the state, which we don't know if it's going to affect when we receive funds, but it's going to kind of slow down the whole process because the state is being pretty generous, I think, with the intermediaries. And we talked about some compliance issues and kind of working on a strategy, to make sure everybody's paying the tax and it's getting collected. But other than that, I would say those were the highlights.
Denise? Plan Commission?
No, I wanted to ask
Okay.
a question about Julie's update. It wasn't that long ago that we met with Representative Kitchens, and he didn't mention anything to us about this. What specifically is the new law?
I don't know the statutory reference or anything to it, but I can get that and send it out to you or send it out to the group. I think it's one of those things. I know Tasha and I talked today. It's something we want to watch and see, is it going to impact when we receive our money, and how is that going to impact us as a village? We don't know if it will. Chad, you might have more on that.
Well, I mean, I know VRBO will collect it and remit it, which is great. Airbnb doesn't, so we still have to collect it from our guests when they book through that. Obviously, when they book directly through us, it's super easy. So I don't know what the change is. And maybe we don't know, as our, Jody's usually on top of that, but I haven't heard of anything being different. Maybe they're forcing Airbnb to remit the tax, and that could be a lag from them, because right now they don't do it. We have to collect it separately, and it's a lot quicker, right? So maybe Airbnb is the change, but I don't know. I'll look into it as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna quick look through the report right now and see if I can find it in the report as well.
Just surprised that Kitchens wouldn't mention that, seeing that we talked to him quite at length about short-term rentals and et cetera.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plan Commission, Denise, anything you'd like to note?
I was not at the last meeting, so I have nothing to say.
I have nothing further to add as well on that. Having run the meeting. SBAA, we met on June 9th. There was consensus among committee members, supported by Louise, that various indicators up to June 8th had pointed to day tripper visitor traffic being less so far during the season from the rummage sale through Memorial Day weekend into June than last year. Inquiries to lodging properties, same day inquiries. Do you have one night stays, particularly on the weekends? Those calls that are normally historically prevalent by Memorial Day weekend were virtually non-existent for many folks, et cetera.
Are you saying historically normal or versus last year? Because last year is an anomaly.
I'm saying versus prior years.
Yeah.
For some time, that starting with the rummage sale, the talk amongst people was there seemed to just be less vehicles in town and less people
there is
traveling around. And Memorial Day weekend, it was noted, no one could remember a Memorial Day weekend where there was so few same day inquiries about, do you have one night available?
Yeah, I know historically
in June.
Looking at how things are, it reminds me of how it used to be. Memorial Day doesn't quite fill up, never has, right? Never has. Weeks after, slow down. Staff wants more hours. The last couple of years have just not been normal, and I think we're getting back to what is more historically normal for Door County, which I think we can all agree is probably pretty good.
Yes, hallelujah.
Yeah.
Utilities Committee met last week. We dealt with the recommendations tonight. Youth Center has not met. I will motion that we accept.
Before you do that, Rob,
Go ahead, please.
we forgot it was the first minutes in the packet from Board of Review. It didn't make the list, but the minutes were in there. Not Board of Review, a joint board, TIF district.
Okay.
So just wanted to make sure that if anybody had any questions about that we didn't skip it over before we make a motion to approve all the.
Does anyone have any questions for Tasha on that?
What are you speaking about? Joint board TIF district?
the annual meeting that we have to have every year to go over where the two TIF districts
Oh, we
are.
haven't had it yet.
No, we
Yeah,
had
no,
it.
Tasha
We
had
have
it.
to have it by June 30th of every year.
When was it?
Tasha led it.
It was on June 13th. It's, the members are Denise and Rob,
but-
and then one representative from each of the taxing jurisdictions.
I'm sorry. I thought she said joint board / TIF. I thought we
Yeah,
had. all
Joint
together.
review board of the TIF.
Never mind.
district. Little different thing.
I'm just gonna apologize for missing it. So
Okay.
A
Rob,
motion,
on page
a motion,
387, if anybody wants to find them.
excuse me?
It's on page 387 of the packets. The minutes are if anybody wants them.
thanks,
Rob, before
Thank
before you make a motion, can I just real quick address that tourism thing so we don't have to revisit it again? Okay. It actually was Senate Bill 198 and it was put into effect on July of last year. We're still first starting to see the real effects now. It says the bill is a step forward in requiring accountability for marketplace providers, allowing communities to exchange information regarding marketplace audits and specifying penalties for noncompliance. Another change included in the bill is the requirement for marketplace providers such as Airbnb, Expedia, and VRBO to file and submit room tax on a quarterly basis. Previously, marketplace providers were required to report and remit taxes monthly. The tourism zone's reporting and disbursement procedures have been adjusted to reflect this change, but it has created a lag in the release of room tax disbursement to our member municipalities. And that's where Tasha and I were talking. I mean, especially, when you're looking at budgeting, how do you plan if it's going to be late? So we set up a meeting with Louise, or we're trying to set up a meeting with Louise to try and get more information to see what that really means on how it's going to impact us. So
You might want to include or have a separate meeting with Juliana from the tourism zone, who's in the same building as Kerber Rose by the country walk shops, lower level.
okay. Sounds good.
Okay, without further ado, I'll motion that we accept the committee reports as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 12, consider a motion to convene into executive session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.851C to consider employment promotions, compensations, and performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, and Wisconsin statutes 19.851G to confer with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. Sub-bullets, a discussion regarding special employee compensation in the absence of a full-time village administrator, and a discussion on a potential property purchase and funding. At 7:34 PM, I will motion that we move into closed session.
Second.
Roll call, Zashki, yes.
Berto, yes.
Cox, yes.
Karanko, yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay, we are now in closed session. Everyone. Session.
Second.
Roll call, Zashki, yes.
Hell, yes.
Berto, yes.
Cox, yes.
Karanko, yes.
Lyons, yes.
Okay, as of 8:25 PM, we are now back in open session. We have two motions from closed session, and Julie will read the first one for us, please.
Okay, in regard to the first matter, if acceptable, the motion could be all employees will be considered as part of a wage analysis and potential wage adjustments by the village a wage analysis led by the village administrator and potential wage adjustments.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. We have a second motion that Julie will read for us now.
If acceptable, it would be not to proceed with a potential property purchase at this time.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Do we have any discussion regarding additional matters to be placed on a future agenda or referred to a committee, official, or employee this evening?
I actually do, so I'll make it real quick. So the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, the insurance division, they're going to be in Door County in September doing training sessions. And they would like to meet with us and talk about the resources that they have and do some training, general training, open meetings law, open meeting laws, records retention, things of that nature. I think it'd be a good refresher for some or good for new members. And we would try to schedule it on a regular meeting night if possible.
That would be outstanding.
Go ahead with it. Tell them September meeting.
I mean, I would be good with it.
Would trustees like the opportunity to suggest dates in September that work for them to send to Julie, or do we want to just have Julie send us some potential?
I thought you just said a regular meeting, so we just have it within a regular meeting or at the same?
Yeah, I was thinking if it's not a long meeting, we could just do it during the regular meeting.
That'd be great.
The other thought is you open it up and all of your commissions and bodies hear the same message, so they're all on the same page. It's really up to you. How do you want to proceed? I just don't want to pass up the opportunity to get the education from them.
Yeah.
Denise?
I think combining it with a village board meeting is a mistake. I think other committees and commissions could benefit if some of those members want to participate. We've always had other special meetings on Mondays or Tuesdays when we have scheduled them in the past, and I would lean heavily to one of those days.
I agree with Denise. Nate, you had your hand up?
Special meeting for this purpose.
So we'll work towards a special meeting on a Monday or Tuesday, or a Monday or a Tuesday in September when there's no Tuesday conflict.
And inviting others, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, committee, I think an invitation should be extended to all committee members.
Okay, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. Anything else? Hearing nothing else at 8:29 PM, I will motion that we adjourn this evening.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome, Julie, your
Aye.
first official one.
Thank you.
Glad
Julie.
you're here. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Aye.
Okay, you're now in the main session.
Okay, you coming back in?
It looks like everyone is back. It looks like, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So at 8:25, I will motion that we return to open session.
Recording in progress.
Second. Roll call, Zashki, yes. Powell, yes.
Birdo, yes.
Cox, yes.
Bernacco, yes.
Lyons, yes.
As of 8:25 PM, we are now back in open session. We have two motions from closed session, and Julie will read the first one for us. Please.
Hey, in regard to the first matter, if acceptable, the motion, could be, all employees will be considered as part of a wage analysis and potential wage adjustments by the village a wage analysis led by the village administrator and potential wage adjustments.
So moved. Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We have a second motion that Julie will read for us now.
If acceptable, it would be not to proceed with a potential property purchase at this time.
I'll make that motion. Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Do we have any discussion regarding additional matters to be placed on a future agenda or referred to a committee, official, or employee this evening?
I actually do, so I'll make it real quick. So the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, the insurance division, they're going to be in Door County in September doing training sessions, and they would like to meet with us and talk about the resources that they have and do some training, general training, open meetings law, open meeting laws, records retention, things of that nature. I think it'd be a good refresher for some or good for new members. And we would try to schedule it on a regular meeting night if possible.
That would be outstanding.
Go ahead with it. Some September meeting.
I mean, I would be good with it.
Okay.
Yeah. Would trustees like the opportunity to suggest dates in September that work for them to send to Julie, or do we want to just have Julie send us some potential? I thought you just said a regular meeting, so we just have it within a regular meeting, or
Yeah, I was thinking if it's not a long meeting, we could just do it during the regular meeting.
That'd be great.
The other thought is you open it up and all of your commissions and bodies hear the same message, so they're all on the same page. It's really up to you how you want to proceed. I just didn't want to pass up the opportunity to get the education from them.
Yeah. Denise?
I think combining it with a village board meeting is a mistake. I think other committees and commissions could benefit if some of those members want to participate. We've always had other special meetings on Mondays or Tuesdays when we have scheduled them in the past, and I would lean heavily to one of those days.
I agree with Denise. Nate, you had your hand up? Special meeting for this. Okay, so we'll work towards a special meeting on a Monday or Tuesday, or a Monday or a Tuesday in September when there's no Tuesday conflict.
And inviting others, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, committee, I think an invitation should be extended to all committee members.
Okay, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. Anything else? Hearing nothing else at 8:29 p.m., I will motion that we adjourn this evening. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, guys. Welcome, Julie, your first official one.
Thank
Glad
you.
you're here. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.